All right, so now we're going to add the letters I and S in the middle to form the word is. And we're going to animate the effects that we want on top of them. So we're going to go over here to letters. We're going to grab I. We're going to put it somewhere in the middle, somewhere over here. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the letter S. And we're going to put it right next to it. So somewhere around there. That looks good. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're first going to make sure that we set both of these to the default that we want. So we're going to make sure, because the effects that we're going to put on top of them is first we want them to appear out of nothing. So we're going to use the ghost effect. And then we want them to get larger and then come back down to the regular size. So the two effects that we need to set to default at first are the ghost, the amount that they are ghosted for, and also their size. So we're going to put the flag over here. Then we're going to go over here to looks. We're going to go find set size to 100% because we want to make sure they are at the right size to begin with. And then we're going to go over here and find this one over here and set ghost to 100%. So essentially what we're saying is that every time we run this program, we want these to be at the correct size. So we don't want them to be bigger or smaller than their regular size. But we also want them to basically disappear, right? So when I click on this, as you can see, the eye disappears because it's been ghosted, right? Whereas if this was 0, it will be right there. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to set it 100 so that to begin with, we can't see them. They're not on the screen. And what we're going to do is that we're going to go and use the loops. Remember, we learned how the loops work. We're going to go down here and we're going to grab the repeat loop so that we can essentially gradually take these out of their ghost mode. Right, so we're going to go over here and we're going to say change effect. We're going to put that in there, and we're going to change ghost by, let's say, -1. All right, so essentially what this means is that at first, these are ghosted, and then once they repeat, and we have to make sure this is 100 times, by the way, because we set the ghost effect to 100, so we need 100 of these -1s to get rid of it completely. All right, so we're going to make sure we let that play out over there, and let's just try this out. We're going to click on the flag, and as you can see, the eye disappears to begin with, and then appears slowly, right, as this repetition is happening. Let's take a look at it one more time. Look at the eye. As you can see, it's appearing slow, nice and slow into the middle of the screen, which is exactly what we want. Now, the next effect that we want to put in place is both of these letters getting larger and then coming back down to the regular size. So we're going to go ahead and grab the repeat command one more time. And what we're essentially going to do is first, we want to make sure that we have a control for how long it takes for us to execute this command, right? Because we don't want them to just get larger and smaller instantaneously. We want to make sure we control how fast they get larger and smaller. And then we're going to go over to change size. Right, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're changing the size. So we're going to keep this number at 10. That seems like a good number. But instead of 1 second, that seems like a little too long. Let's just go 0.1 second. All right. And we're just going to let that repeat 10 times. Let's just take a look at how this plays out. And of course, when you are doing these kinds of numbers yourself, you can always just run the program once, see how it looks with those numbers, and then change the numbers accordingly, right? So you don't have to basically guess the numbers out of nowhere. You can just take a look at it, see if it's as fast as you want, see if it gets as big as you want, and then you can just adjust the numbers accordingly, right? So let's try it out here. So eye appears, and then it slowly gets larger. Very nice. Now, next up, obviously, we want it to get smaller, to go back to the original size. So we're going to basically put the same repeat command with the same material inside of it, but this time instead of changing size by 10, we're going to change it by -10, so it gets smaller instead of getting bigger. So the same thing, we're going to go over here to the repeat command. I'm going to put down here, wait 0.1 second per repeat. And of course, we're going to change size this time by -10 so that it gets smaller. All right, now let's try it with those in place. As you see, the eye appears, it gets larger, and then gets back to the original size. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now, obviously, we want to do the exact same thing for S. So what we're going to do, as we learned in the previous video, we're just going to grab this and copy it over onto S. Just like that, drag and drop. And now the same commands are here for the letter S. Now let's run the whole program. As you see, all the stuff we had previously is happening. And of course, I and S get larger and get back to the original size. So hopefully you've been able to follow along. Make sure you implement all of these and just run it yourself once. Make sure that it's running properly. If it's not, just go back in the video, make sure that you've put in place everything correctly. Maybe you've like misplaced a number or so. That happens all the time. So just make sure everything's working properly so far before you move on to the next video. All right, hopefully that made sense, and I'll see you in the next one.